Hi there, Dr. Gary here. Dr. Gary on the road. Good afternoon. We sell dental practices nationwide. Today's topic is going to be we finally closed the deal despite a very challenging landlord. This was a tough one. So before we get into that, let's talk about our company. We have 10 employees. We're involved in 26 states, and we are selling dental practices nationwide. We have 10, those 10 employees are 2 CPA accountants, 1 marketing director, 1 operations director, and 5 marketing acquisition doctors. Also, we're available to you every day except Christmas and Easter. And also, we will answer the phones from 7:30 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. every day, 7 days a week. So please give us a ring. Everything you're about to hear is for entertainment purposes. It is not legal or business advice. So give us a call. We'll talk to you about it. If you're thinking about selling to it, before we forget, our phone number is 201-663-0935. And our website is dentalpracticeguide.com. If you're thinking about selling to a DSO, please give us a call, because we will be the middleman. We'll be the broker. Doesn't cost you anything. We work with several DSOs that do not charge a commission. And under certain circumstances, we can get your legal fees reimbursed at closing. So give us a call. We'll talk to you about it. 201-663-0935, dentalpracticeguide.com. So what happened? This was a difficult closing. It wasn't a lot of money, and sometimes the small deals are difficult, but we got through it. Buyers happy, sellers happy. What happened? A month before closing, the landlord goes ballistic on us. Landlord says, I am not signing the lease over. There will be no lease assignment. And we said, what are you talking about? It's right in the contract. You said you were going to do it. We're 3 weeks before closing. What do you mean? Well, she says, not only am I not signing the lease over, I'm also, you can forget about ever getting a 10-year lease out of me. This is like, bank's not going to do the deal if they don't have a 10-year lease. Bank's not going to finance without a lease. And now we have no financing. What are we supposed to do? How can I bring a buyer there if we have no lease that's assignable? There's about 3 years left on the lease. No lease is assignable. I can't get a 10-year lease. No bank is going to finance, and it's going to be challenging for a buyer. Fortunately, we had a buyer that was willing to take the risk. What happened was the seller held the mortgage. Buyer came down with an adequate down payment, and seller held the mortgage. Generally, we don't recommend this, because there's no equity. If the buyer goes south, what does the seller have? He gets his practice back. So we try to avoid that. But there's a circumstance the seller had to hold paper. Luckily, we had great attorneys. The 2 attorneys both worked together. They're both dental attorneys. Worked together on opposite sides of the table before. And they put this deal together. Without the attorneys, forget it. We would not have been able to close the deal. So it was the seller financing, the buyer taking basically as a subtenant is what they became. They became a subtenant, and with the subtenant, at least the buyer has something, but it's only a subtenant. It's not gonna, really doesn't give you that many rights. And the seller's gonna continue for the next few years to pay the buyer is paying the rent, but he's paying it to the seller because he's a subtenant. It's not the best of circumstances, believe me. But we had no other buyers. There was no other alternative. Attorneys couldn't come up with anything. You had a landlord from hell, and we worked it out. It worked out. So the deal just closed yesterday. I am like, whew, am I exhausted. It really takes a lot out of you. And it wasn't a big deal. But what are you going to do? You have to give it your all. That's what we do. I mean, we sell some huge deals to DSOs, and we also sell to smaller practices. We try to put all of our effort in everything and give it our best. And you got to support the seller. You got to support the buyer. This is some emotions that had to be discussed here. This wasn't easy. There's a lot of risk on the selling attorney, a selling buyer, the seller of the dental practice, and risk on the buyer. It wasn't the best. But under the circumstances, the buyer is going to maintain their job, so they have income. The seller is taking back a large note, but it'll be a balloon note paid off in like 3 years. And by then, the rent will be up. And I think the buyer's going to kill it. The buyer's just going to get his own place, build his own building. I know it's going to work out great. And the landlord, it's like freak the landlord. Landlord's going to be stuck with that space because it was like Class B space, ground level. She's going to be stuck with it because the dentist is going to move out. And also the buyer needed more room. It was a limited number of operatories. It wasn't 4. So that's what happened. And we got through it. And it was tough. You're exhausted. I'm exhausted the next day. It was a small deal. But we move on to the next one. But we did the best we could for the buyer. It worked out great. The best we could for the seller. A risky situation for both. But we had great dental attorneys that did the best they could to protect all parties. Okay? Thank you. Bye.